Are you down for this? If you're in the mood, we can take it to the moon. Just like a movie scene, table for two. No need to be fair, I want you instead.
Good day, everyone. I am Christine Bandoy, and I'm going to discuss the chapter 1 of Basic Concept on Special and Inclusive Education. It is broadly satisfies the criteria of most standards in the educational fields come from the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO. According to the organization, inclusive education is about putting the right education into action by including learners, respecting their diverse needs, abilities, and characteristics, and eliminating all forms of discrimination in the learning environment. UNESCO 2009. It is the process of strengthening the capacity of education system to reach out to all learners. Therefore, inclusion is the process that helps overcome barriers limiting the presence, participation, and achievement of learners. With the current reforms of the Philippine government in the inclusive curriculum through the Department of Education Order Number 21 Series of 2019, and in the teacher through the national adaptation and implementation of the Philippine Professional Standards for Teacher PPST Order number 42 of 2017, teachers are now expected to act as major implementers of educational education. As a beginning teacher, your performance appraisals will be based on the set of standards and among its 7 domains. The third is devoted to diversity learners, where it emphasizes the control role of teacher to establish environments responsive to learners' diversity. The succeeding pages will acquaint you to the terminology such as disability and inclusive education that will lay the foundation of most inclusive classroom fitted to the learners with disabilities, gifted and talent.
Good day, everyone. I am Charmaine Barato Antonio, and today we will be tackling about the main points of special education and inclusive education. So let's talk about what is special education first. Special education focuses on providing tailored learning experiences and supports students or learners with disabilities or exceptionalities. This includes Individualized Education Plan or IEPs, specialized teaching method, and accommodations to help students succeed academically and socially. Here are some of the examples of special needs. First, we have the physical, cognitive, social, emotional, or behavioral differences that require tailored educational strategies. Inclusive education, on the other hand, emphasizes the integration of students with disabilities into regular classrooms alongside their non disabled peers. It aims to create an environment where all students, regardless of their abilities, can learn together, participate equally, and benefit from a diverse learning community. The underlying principle: diversity is a strength, and all learners can benefit from an educational environment that celebrates differences and removes barriers to participation. Shift from segregation to inclusion. The move towards inclusive education has been driven by legislation, policies, and a growing recognition of the importance of equity and accessibility in education.
Streaming and integrated education. First, what is mainstreaming? The practice of educating students with the learning challenges in regular classes in less restrictive environment based on skills. Students with the learning disabilities are faced with several obstacles during educational series. Therefore, it is extremely important to develop educational approaches that optimize the learning experiences. There is an advantage when the students with special needs enter the regular classroom because it helps to adapt to the real world. With the students with special needs are mainstream, they are able to develop social skills along with academics, a lot of which would expose them from the pursuit. Students with special needs often suffer from the additional developing their social skills, affecting their personal development and growth. Hope that children with disabilities find themselves ostracized from general students population. This isolation only forces other delays in social development, but mainstreaming provides and support the development of social skills and inclusive learning community. Mainstreaming is the practice of integrating students with disabilities or special needs. It regulates education, classroom, and activities rather than segregating the students in the separate classroom or schools. So next is the integrated education. First, let's define what is integrated education. Integrated education is the creation of the space such as regular classroom or pull-out services for diverse learners. It is the education from in which exceptional children attend classes with the normal children. Children are either are apart or full-time basis. Integrated education is a system in which a student from different background learn together with some disability and integrated and normal school only. So integrated education, it involves creating an inclusion learning environment for students with diverse disabilities, background area, needs and educational together. It is some classrooms and schools, it goes beyond from physical inclusion to ensure that all students receive appropriate and support accommodation and opportunities for meaningful participation, regardless of their differences. Integrated education promotes delivering, occupying, and equal access for to education for all students. So it emphasizes the integrated education. The learners should learn the same learnings from the regular classroom and to make them feel not alone or being unite with the other. They have no discrimination by the needs the or their disability.
And today I will be discussing all about regular education, equality, equity, and also liberation. So, okay, what is regular education? So, regular education is a term used to describe the educational experience of a typical developing children. It is a content of a curriculum which is defined in most states by state standards. So many of which they adapted the common course state standards of a regular education. So example of a regular education is, for example, is the learning in a classroom, which is it's acquired by attending which institution or which represent. It's a form of regular education. Okay, next one is the equality in education. So equality in education means that every student receives the same resources and same opportunities. This could refer to the same funding for school, the same quality of and abundance of materials and facilities. For example of equality of education is giving the same equipment to all the students, like ensuring every student receive the same textbook. Okay, next is equity in education. Equity in education, it is a personal or social circumstances such as gender, ethnic origin, or family background are not obstacles to achieving educational potential. It is also a fairness and that all individuals reach at least a basic minimum level of skills and a definition of inclusion of equality or equity, which is in education. Okay, last one is liberation. Liberation or liberationism in education is a democratization of the classroom and a new way of looking at role of a teacher and student. It is the biggest change, concession of overall power for the teacher and breaking down traditionalist classroom structures of one in a classroom of a students. It is also a institution as a whole allowing us to liberate ourselves through learning and to be more accountable and more knowledgeable of of a person. This is a liberation education or pedagogy of the students of one of the classrooms.
And now let's discuss about the medical model of disability and social model of disability. First, let's discuss about the medical model of disability. It says people are disabled by their impairments or differences. Under the medical model, these impairments or differences should be fixed or changed by medical and other treatment even when the impairments or difference does not cause a pain or illness. What is medical model of disability or medical model? The medical model is based in a biomedical perception of disability. This method links a disability diagnosis to an individual physical body. The model supposes that this disability may reduce the individual's quality of life. It is often contrasted with the social model of disability. For example, a person with hearing loss is considered disabled, just as a person with cancer is considered disabled. In this model, the disability is viewed as a defect that the field of medicine and healthcare professionals must fix. This implies that disabilities and disablement can be cured by medicine and medical treatment. Now let's proceed the social model of disability. What is the social model of disability or social model? Social model identifies systemic barriers, derogatory attitude, and social exclusion, which make it difficult or impossible for disabled people to attain their valued functionings. It also based on a distinction between terms impairment and disability. The social model of disability diverges from the dominant medical model of disability, which is functional analysis of the body as a machine to be fixed in order to conform with normative values. As a simple example, if a person is unable to climb stairs, the medical model focuses on making the individual physically able to climb stairs. The social model tries to make stair climbing unnecessary, such as by making society adapt to their needs, and assess them by replacing the stairs with a wheelchair accessible ramp. Another example of social model. You're a teenager with a learning difficulty who wants to live independently in your own home, but you don't know how to pay the rent. The social model recognizes that with the right support on how to pay your rent, you can live the life you choose. The medical model might assume that the barriers to independent living are insurmountable and you might be expected to live in a care home. When the barriers are removed, people with disability can be independent and equal in society.
So, in this framework, disabilities refers to the difficulties encountered in three connected areas. First is the impairments, activity limitation, and participation restriction. So, disability therefore arises from the interaction of health condition with contextual factors such as environmental factors and personal factors. At this moment, we're going to talk about the difference between the environmental factors and personal factors, and also the people first policy. Environmental factors can either be facilitators or barriers, such as products and technologies. It is how the person with disability adapt in order to survive. So the pictures below are the natural and built-in environment, support and relationships, attitudes, services, and system policies. Personal factors can influence the participation of a person in the society, such as motivation and self-esteem. So in a school setting, many learners with disability face attitudinal barriers that could lead to isolation and low achievement in the classroom. So avoid discriminatory behavior and language regardless of the person's condition. So, and the last is the people first policy, where the word people or person used followed by their condition or impairments. Language use is not difficult. So if you are referring to PWDs in your sentence construction, use the phrase person with an intellectual disability instead of using intellectually disabled person. And another example is person with mental health impairment instead of using mentally ill. So these practices shifts an individual rather than their own condition. The term abnormal, even special, may also deem offensive, so avoid using those terms.
In conclusion, Chapter 1 has provided an overview of the key concepts and principles underlying the evolving field of special and inclusive education. It has explored the shift from traditional special education approaches towards more inclusive models that aims to accommodate the diverse needs of all learners. The chapter has discussed the core concept of inclusive education, special education, mainstreaming, integrated education, and regular education, highlighting the fundamental principles of equality, equity, and liberation. It has contrasted the social and medical models of disability, emphasizing the importance of addressing environmental and personal factors. Crucially, the chapter has introduced the person first policy, which emphasizes focusing on the individual rather than their disabilities or label. This principle is central to the inclusive and equitable practices advocated in this field. Overall, this chapter has laid the groundwork for understanding the evolving landscape of special and inclusive education, setting for the stage for deeper exploration in this chapter.